So let's then keep pace then to move to the next group. We will, which will be a bit of a, let's say, a kind of social turn, shifting from the infrastructure to the infrastructure made of humans, as Ben said. Among the most decisive and disturbing realities of the pandemic was the political filtering, whereby an otherwise mobile and intermingling human population was sort of instantaneously resorted back into the nations of passport, of which the architecture of this event is exemplary. But what we might ask, what it might have been like if health services were public health services were widely available wherever you may be, as opposed to this kind of artificial filtration mechanism by which people were asked to return to their birthing grounds in order to be tested for a globally promiscuous pandemic. And from that, ask what other kinds of artificial cosmopolitanisms might be already on call. The contemporary gravity at this particular moment, obviously things shift rather quickly, but the gravity of the political thought at this particular moment is one that has affinities for a kind of delinking from global networks, a kind of nativism, rebordering, restoration, indigeneity as a universal allegory, the primacy of placefulness, a kind of autochthonousness as a first principle. Planetary governance, I think, however, will have to make sense rather of more allochthonous forces, from capital flows to climate refugees, from pandemics to carbon accumulations. There is, in fact, no original place to which everything can be returned. History is not only extraction, it's also fundamentally circulation. So with that, we also would ask, in a way, as the license of quote unquote citizen is simultaneously reinforced and undermined by all of this, what other kinds of credentials might take its place, or multiply it, or innovate it into a new, some other space of positions? Must, for example, citizenship be so binary, yes or no, in or out? What forms of gradient citizenship, partial, temporal, multiple modes of citizenship are possible? How do any of these functions as technologies of inclusion and exclusion, assemblage and differentiation? How do internal borders of incarceration, for example, that suspend or subtract full citizenship, draw another kind of portrait of the anachronistic punishment of the social body that should be retired? What is the future of stateless people? And when does the minimal state and the maximal state begin to converge? And for this, of the human infrastructure, we might ask a question of what the kinds of provisions are necessary, what sorts of services would need to be provided, would need to be composed collectively, both bottom up, top down, middle out, in order to realize this. Is that instead of a universal basic income, is there a universal basic services that should be conceived as a kind of as a sort of form for this, provided by states, by platforms, communities, corporations, networks, and any other kind of configuration against the artificial scarcity of the present. So one way to think about this, as one of the groups will show, has to do with thinking of this relationship of service and infrastructural provision, at least in three modes: of moving the people to the infrastructure to the people, or indeed logging on to the service as they provide. So with that, we'll take our social turn and look at the question of where do the people go?